The Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is already a powerful device, one with a little friend, the S Pen. But if you want to get even more out of your Note 5, well, here's the video for you. It's Josh Vergara from Android Authority. What's going on, everybody? And here are 5 tips and tricks to get even more out of your Samsung Galaxy Note 5. This first tip feels like something we really shouldn't have to say. Use the S Pen correctly. Now, the Note 5 has gotten a lot of talk about the fact that the S Pen can actually go in backwards on the Note 5. And if you do so all the way, it could get stuck or it could break the mechanism by which the Air Command menu comes up. Now, again, this should go without saying, don't do that. It's really not all that hard to make sure that you're inserting the S Pen correctly. And by the way, Pengate, not really a name that I like, just my opinion. That being said, however, it should be pretty easy to just look up once in a while and see that you're putting the S Pen in properly. And even then, if you're not looking at your Note 5 while you're using the S Pen, just feel for the tip and you'll know that that is the portion that should go into the phone first. Actually, for me, what I like to do is this clicky top right here. And if I know that I'm clicking that portion, that's the part that goes in last. Pretty easy to do, and then you'll be able to snap it into place and it will be flush on the bottom of the phone. Just because the S Pen is able to go in backwards on the Note 5 doesn't mean it should. Let's all be a little bit more aware and we won't have any more broken Note 5s, okay? Our next tip is about taking advantage of the screen off memo. Now, one of the main features that was added into the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is the fact that when you take the S Pen out while the screen is off, the blank canvas right here is one that you can actually write on. Now, this is a powerful tool that should be available for anybody that wants to jot down quick reminders, maybe somebody's contact information, or just anything that they really need to know right at that moment but don't want to turn on the phone right away. But there's even more to the screen off memo than just writing it down and letting the note sit in S Note. What you can do is get into S Note, find the note that you made using screen off memo, and then use it either as a reminder for a quick alarm later in the day or whenever you want, and you can also take that same note and make it a widget on the home screen. Now any reminders that you may have quickly jotted down using the great screen off memo will never be out of reach. For any of you out there that might be, let's say, forgetful, or you just want to have information available at a moment's grasp, the screen off memo is a great way to do it. You just have to take advantage of the S Note application so you can make it easy to reach no matter where you are in the phone. One of the other new features in the Note 5 is the fact that ScreenWrite can now take very long portions of websites, even the entire ones, by taking multiple screenshots and piecing them together into one long note. But that is really only used if I want to save information. Far more often do I share information with people, and I like to cut out specific portions of what is available in order to share that with my friends. That is why you have to smart select smartly. When you find what you want to share, just take out the S Pen and hit Smart Select. You can actually make a small box, cutting out just the portion of the screen that you need, and then hitting Share will allow you to go straight to your messaging app and send it automatically. Now, this is a lot better than trying to take a big old screenshot, even in ScreenWrite, of it, and then you try to cut it out using an editing software platform. And also, going through all the different share commands after that will make it even more of a tedious task. At least with Smart Select, you'll be able to cut it out and immediately share it with anybody that you wish. Makes it really easy to just share that funny clip that you saw online and be able to make your friends laugh on places like Facebook or WhatsApp. Number 4 on our list of 5 tips and tricks for the Note 5 is about making the phone easier to handle. Now, a fairly old feature that was in previous Note devices returns here and is even easier to trigger than before: one-handed operation. Simply go into the display area in the settings and you'll find one-handed operation as one of the lines. Now, this not only gives you the ability to make one-handed usage out of different inputs like keyboards, but it also allows you to shrink the entire screen. Now, that's pretty easy to do by just triple tapping the home button. This is a really easy way of making the Note 5 just easier to handle, and it pretty much makes everything shrink down and you can move it from left to right depending on which hand that you're using. At least the one-handed operation is trying to make it a little bit easier for you to get a handle on your phone. And our final tip is about speeding up the experience of TouchWiz. We already have a pretty Spartan TouchWiz on here, which is one of the best parts about these new Samsung devices. But if you want an even faster and more fluid experience, you can actually do that by getting into the settings. The first thing you have to do though is remove any bloatware that might be on the phone. Now this is something that those of us who get carrier versions of these phones definitely have to pay attention to. Thankfully in TouchWiz, it's kind of easy to remove or disable these applications. Just head into the app drawer that now has an edit button, and when you hit that button, a bunch of little remove icons show up on pretty much any application. By pressing these remove icons, you'll be able to remove or just disable certain applications. Most carrier bloatware is going to be only disabled. This is a tip that could essentially be used for any other phone, but it's kind of important for the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, especially if you get it on a carrier, because there's always that bloatware coming from people like AT&T or beyond. But removing the bloatware is only part of the answer. The other thing you can do is change very slightly the aesthetic of the animations inside of TouchWiz, and that's something that Android has built in from the beginning. Just head on over to the About Devices portion of the settings and then go to Software Info, and it's there that you're going to find Build Number. When you tap on this line multiple times, it will tell you that you have become a developer. And when you go back to the regular settings screen, you'll find developer options there. Now, quick warning, developer options on any Android build can be pretty robust, and if you mess up too many things on there, it could make Android a little bit harder to use, sometimes even inoperable at its worst. So what we're looking for here are specific options that say animation scale in them. So when you go down into the settings, you'll be able to find 3 of these options that all are at 1x. That's the amount of time that it's going to take for the animations to run across all of Android, in this case, TouchWiz. Bringing that down to 0.5x essentially cuts that time in half, so you'll have faster transitions while still remaining pretty fluid. You can also turn them off completely, but that makes Android feel a little too jarry, so really 0.5 is probably just how far you want to go so you can still get that nice fluid feeling in your software. Once you're done with all of that, you've freed up a bit of performance by removing and disabling bloatware, and you've actually made the software feel and look even faster by making the animations go for half the time. That way, you can actually speed up the experience and get even more performance out of an already powerful package in the Galaxy Note 5. And so there you have it for these 5 tips for the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. These 5 tips will allow you to not only get the most out of the S Pen for the Note 5 and also keep it from breaking, but you can also get a little bit more performance out of it by getting into the developer options and removing your bloatware, at the very least disabling it. If you have any other tips and tricks that you want to share, not just with us, but with the entire Android Authority community, make sure you pop them into the comments down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already to see not only the review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, but even more from all of my colleagues in Android here at Android Authority. You can head on over to AndroidAuthority.com after that to talk about Android in our forums and listen to the Android Authority podcast. And then when you're done with all of that, stay tuned because we are your source for all things Android.